Hi, everyone, and welcome to Shmindle Shmumlimited, the podcast for reviews, rants, and ramblings about books from our favorite way to get books, the Kindle Unlimited universe. I'm one of your hosts, Amity.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Steph. And this week we read Gold Winnings, an Olympic romance by Mare Montague.
Montague?
Montague? This week. But before we started on the book, how is everyone's week going? What are you guys reading or watching or all of the above?
Lauren?
I had a trip out to Reno for a family-ish reunion for my grandpa's plane. It was the very last one.
Oh.
We had 500 people at the banquet. It was pretty impressive.
That's fun. That's a lot of people, actually.
Yes, I was shocked. So it was the very last reunion they're having, the 25th. They did one every 2 years, and the pilots are up there in age.
They're getting older.
They're getting up there. My grandfather's 85. So it was pretty cool to hear some stories, and I got to see my aunts, uncles, my cousins. So it was nice.
A little family reunion.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I am prepping for our first international trip. We're taking the kids. We're going to Ireland. I'm so excited. It's been fun to plan kind of the balance between I don't really like to sightsee is not the right word. We've never traveled international before, so we've always traveled to look at more natural type things, like hikes and stuff like that. And I feel like so often when people go to Europe, they go to see the old buildings.
Yeah.
It's just not something we've ever done before. So we have a hike of the cliffs, and I did find a castle we're going to go see today and do a ferry trail walk,
Oh,
stuff
that's
like
so
that.
fun.
So I've been planning that. And then I've been reading this book called Two Women Walk into a Bar. And when I say I've been reading, I'm at 4%. By Cheryl Strayed, but it's good so far. So started that. Steph?
I am going up north for a week for 4th of July. I'll do a wedding and then just get out of the Florida heat for a little bit because it is blazing hot down here.
Yes.
And
Car said 94, I think.
yeah, I went for a run yesterday and Google told me the temperature was 93, but felt like 101.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that was a very hot run.
That's
And then
gross.
I actually am reading So This Is War by Megan Quinn, which is part of a series, a hockey series, of course.
Nice.
So
love
I didn't
Megan
realize
Quinn's
this book came out, but I think I missed the third one. So I think this is the fourth one. And I know I read the first two, but I'm not sure about the third one. And I think this is the fourth. So, but I saw that this came out and was recommended to me. So
Okay.
I just started that one.
Nice.
So, but let's get into Gold Winning, an Olympic romance.
Yeah. So by the time we're listening to this, we can all be watching the Paris Olympics, which is the setting of the beginning of this book. So this book's main characters are Kyle Jessup, and he is a swim prodigy. He, in his debut Olympics, is expected to win 8 gold medals, which is a huge, crazy feat. And then the female main character, her name is Catalina Kyle, and she is a rhythmic gymnast, which has historically not been an area of strength for the United States. And it's also her debut Olympics, and she has no expectations. She's very excited to be there, which, to be fair, would also be my Olympics reaction. I absolutely love the Olympics, loved the Olympics, and she just was. I totally felt just like she did at the beginning of the book. Like, it's just an honor to be here. This is so fun. I'm going to take it all in. It's great to even make the Olympics, and I appreciated that beginning point of view. But so it begins with both of them. It's dual point of view, which we always love, and begins with them sort of arriving, preparing for, and then arriving to the Olympics. And part of Kyle's preparation, his little sister Izzy makes his name tag for his Olympics backpack with all his like official gear in it. And she decorates it super fun. And I thought it was just really sweet how he basically allowed like his little sister to make him a pink glittery name tag with his first name, Kyle, on it. Catalina doesn't, she's apparently very forgetful and doesn't even check that her bag is labeled at all because her mama did it for her. And when they're getting off the airplane, just a pile of bags that her bag somehow ends up in because she forgot it. And she goes over to that bag and picks up the glittery, sparkly one that says Kyle, thinking because her last name's Kyle that that one's hers. And of course, her mom would have made it so cute for her. And then first name Kyle figures out he's got the wrong bag. This is not his bag. He opens it up. It's got these weird sort of bowling pin type things in it, which his Olympic teammates tell him are a gymnast. And like a bunch of, so our main characters start off, this is like I said, their first Olympics, and they're 18.
Yeah, they're
They're,
going into college next year.
yes, yeah, they've just, and somehow Catalina's like about to start college, but doesn't know which one she's going to. But like, this is the Summer Olympics.
It's college starts in like a month.
Yeah,
Like, if that.
Yeah.
But anyways, so
Side note.
like typical bunch of 18-year-old boys who find gymnasts equipment, they're like, heck yes, hot gymnasts. Let's do it. We got to figure out how to get this. Let's switch it back. And so Kyle's like, who, me? I'd never be interested in anything like dating. I'm here to swim. I'm going to win all 8 gold medals, like 100% business. So Kyle
Except
posts
he's
on
like
his,
the hot swimmer that
Yes.
everybody wants to date, but he doesn't date. He's
yes,
like
of course
all into
not.
swimming.
No, who would?
Because that's realistic for an 18-year-old boy.
Yes, exactly. Who's also really good looking and is like on the
6'5", blue eyes.
Yeah. Has
Trust
the
fund.
swimmer body.
So
But
he
okay.
posts on his Instagram story, you know, hey, potentially someone else named Kyle. I've got your bag. You've got mine. And Catalina's roommate, teammate sees it and figures it out. And so Catalina messages him. She's like obsessed. The roommate was like obsessed with Kyle. So she's like, yeah, I'm going to meet up with him later when the roommate is asleep. So they meet up and have the most like love at first sight type reactions to each other. It's so cute and so sweet knowing that they both were not really into the idea of anybody or each other. At first, when Kyle sees her, he describes her as the most beautiful girl he's ever seen, which is just so sweet. And they very much just want to keep spending time together. So they begin what becomes sort of a tradition for them in competing because they're at the Olympics, they're there to compete. And in order to spend additional time together, they go for a walk and go and get some food. So they come up with different food things for each other. Catalina makes the sandwich. And Kyle makes something with like snails in it. And it both of them sounded really like I don't know. I know the rule was that it had to be still edible, and both of them would have gone beyond my still edible. Like this was much more than a sweet and salty mix.
This was, yeah, maybe the sandwich, maybe, but the escargot and berries, absolutely not.
No, for sure not. But they continue spending time together. They're trying to adjust to the time change. So they end up going for a walk. And that's when they're starting to get to know each other. And that's when you really get to know how they're each feeling about their Olympics. And that's when Kyle begins to get in Catalina's head that like you can do this. You made it to the Olympics. You can absolutely compete. Like you're not just here for funsies, you can compete. And they agreed to meet up the next day and explore Paris together.
Now, to Catalina's credit, I guess in the book, the United States for Rhythmic Gymnastics, is that what her sport?
Yes.
Has like never made it in this final round.
No, and have you watched rhythmic gymnastics? Like we've not ever really been good that
No,
I can
no.
remember.
It's usually the European countries.
Yeah. And
Yes.
she's just like, and he's like, with that attitude, you won't get there. But she's like, this is the attitude I think like her entire team kind of have.
Yeah.
I got that vibe as well. But I love you can do like the supportive of his new girl
Yeah.
and just like, the 18-year-olds who don't really know better, they instantly like hard launch each other on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
And they're seen at each other's, or she starts going to his sport. His
Yeah, well,
meets.
before that, so they do opening ceremonies, which
Oh, yes. That's what
I
happened.
like cry when I think about walking in opening ceremonies. Like I am a huge Olympics fan, and Kyle is the flag bearer,
As
which
your first Olympics.
like and
Usually reserved for like a veteran, been there multiple times.
right, like a big deal person. And here's this like 18-year-old unproven kiddo. But it was cute for the story. And so
There's a lot of cute for the story parts.
True.
yes. But so he pulls her up to walk with him hand in hand. Now they're like flag bearing together, which is crazy. And so they begin their competition, sort of. Kyle is competing first, and he just feels different. He feels right with Catalina near him. And so in his first just qualifying heat, and so I'm going to assume our listeners like know the Olympics with swimming, but Olympics with anything, like you got to qualify to get to the final round. And so in qualifying races, you do your best because you want like a good position, but you also know you have like a lot more races to go, so you don't go all out. But Kyle goes what he's perceiving as not all out and sets a world record. And they Kyle and Catalina are instantly both. Catalina's also performing better, smoother, and they're just like, it's because it's you. Like we're soulmates. Immediately.
It's the only possible reason.
They start making plans for the future. Catalina was like, well, I'll just go to college wherever you're going to college. Like, girl, you don't have like a rhythmic gymnastics scholarship? Nothing? Like,
Those don't exist.
okay. You would know. You would know.
Yeah. Only artistic gymnastics scholarships
Okay.
exist.
All right. Well,
But now all these schools want her.
Yeah.
Like
Stanford's like, you apply, you'll get in automatically.
yeah.
Yes, please.
Over
just
summer.
because of yeah,
It's late July.
In a month, come.
Yeah. Yeah, we still got room in our freshman class.
Which is
It's fine.
conveniently where Kyle's going.
Yes.
Yes. And so, of course, every other human being in their life is like, maybe you should not get so hot and heavy and serious with somebody at the Olympics. Like, go for
That
the
you met a
Olympic
few days
hookup,
ago.
but maybe not the Olympic, like, let's get married.
Yes.
And
It
they don't
became,
listen.
really fast. Like I felt like it was like 2 pages, and it was like, wow, these two are very
Yeah.
into it.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. But in their defense-ish, these are obviously highly trained athletes who know their bodies and their stressors and everything really well. And they were both performing better than ever. So the coaches who just saw like dollar signs of sponsorships and new athletes were like, yeah, whatever makes you happy, I guess. And they get real serious. And so they're together
And they're going to college together.
Yeah. And so they're together one evening in Kyle's dorm. He's qualifying for all these final races, but has not had any final heats yet.
And Catalina makes it to the second round of hers.
She makes it to the final, the first American to ever make it to the final.
Yes. And in her individual event.
In her individual event, the team places higher than they've ever placed before, ninth, but top 8 go on to the finals.
Yes.
And then individually, she places 8th or something like that. She gets, maybe it's top 12 and she places 9th again. I don't know.
Yeah.
But she places high enough to go to the individuals. And they've been seen together. They have like a hashtag. They've been shouting each other out on their socials. So they are a like worldwide. To be fair, if this was happening in real time, I would be like, this is the cutest thing ever. And I'd be so following it. listening for the music. And I don't know about you guys. Oh, why can't I think of his name? The Olympics guy, the one who always does the primetime coverage, Bob
Oh,
Costas. I
yes.
read every single one of the like, and we're back in primetime in Bob
In his
Costas's
voice.
voice. And I heard like the little do song like every time. I very much enjoyed this book, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
But so, anyways, I just couldn't imagine Bob Costas like biggest thing at the Olympics, the dating of two random athletes.
One really big and one we've never heard of before.
Yes, but now she's everybody's favorite.
And she's going to any school she wants to.
So,
And that's how you make it big.
Yes.
so our story's about to take a huge turn because normally Kyle would have walked Catalina back to her dorm, but
He
he
falls
has
asleep.
his first final the next day and he's basically asleep. So she like tucks him in and goes to walk back to her dorm. And then it's the next morning and it's Kyle's perspective and he has like a text that says, "I'm okay, if you can call me instead of turning on the news, that would be great," or something like that. And so he is like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "So I'm in the hospital and I was attacked. Can you come here?" And
Yeah.
so he gets there, her mama's there, and the attack was pretty horrific.
Yeah.
It, was some men and they, beat her. Luckily it did not, it was not sexual in nature, the attack, but it ended with some like Italian athletes coming up and being like, "Hey, get away from her," or something, and everybody
Yeah.
left. And it was bad. I mean, she was very, very
Yeah.
injured. They were watching for signs of internal bleeding. She had
Her whole
some
face.
cracked ribs, but
Yes.
or fully fractured, but they didn't move ribs.
I think so.
And her face must have just been very, very bruised. She it was scary. I'm certainly scary. And so Kyle basically spends like all day with her and then goes to his event and he feels awful. He internalizes a lot of it in a way that I felt was a little unnecessary at the time.
Yeah, it was like a little like a extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Um,
feel like from what I read from Kyle, I think it would have happened in like the opposite way. I feel like he would have been
Yes.
like angry,
I'm gonna
sweating.
win for her.
Yes, like nobody
yes.
can do that.
That did not happen.
But it was like quite the opposite. Like he
Yeah, well, and
stopped,
I
like
think
he
to a
couldn't
certain
stand.
extent, maybe what made it worse, I forget who it was that said it, either somebody from the police or maybe their agent, I'm not sure, who was like, "Well, we can't."
Oh, they were wondering if they were targeting him
Yes. And I don't
and
know if that's
attacked
when
her to get to
he,
him.
right. I don't know if that's when he started, like when he took it really personally, but he took it very personally and tanked. I mean, did not win a single medal for basically the rest of the games. Catalina, who was attacked, and then the photos of what happened to her were leaked. And so people could see just how brutal the attack was. And so in a first ever thing, they postpone her finals by like 3 days so that she can compete.
That's a lot of time to recover.
Right. And the Olympics doctor clears her and so she can compete. And Kyle's kind of there with her and also tanking and just not doing well. And she's really leaning on him emotionally. And
She still goes to
short,
his meets.
She goes to his last
Me,
race.
yeah.
And that's when like she walks in after everyone's sitting and they do a standing ovation for her.
Yes.
And I think that really that was at the point when he started to resent her.
he
Yes.
had that like slight feeling of resentment. And right before they had parted ways earlier, she had said something to him like, "If this is too much, if it's not for you, like, no worries, we can step
And the
back."
word, I understand.
Yeah, something like that. I
Yeah.
understand. And then
Sad.
Yeah, and so his Olympic
Leaves.
dreams were just all dashed. He walked away with a total of 0 medals when he was the flag bearer because he was a shoo-in for 8. And he has that like little bit of resentment because she sort of like took away the his thunder. Like, but at that point, sir, you have sizzled out. You're you're not even sprinkling. But so he leaves, like gets on a quick, just
Light and
like,
goes, leaves. Yeah, leaves for New
yeah,
York.
And says nothing.
Yeah, and just like texts her, be like, I'm in New York.
yeah.
Good luck.
I think
Sorry
we're
about
at
it. And
this
she just was
point.
like, I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she was like. I get it.
We were at this point in the book, and I was like, third act breakup at 40%. Where are we going
Yeah.
from here?
Yes. No. And like the Olympics were over because I had really thought the whole thing was gonna be Paris Olympics.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
And then
she hadn't done her final
Yes.
event yet.
So she ends up
sure, we're only at 40%. Like it's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We got a lot to go.
like, and then she twirled left, and then she like to get the other 60. So she is hurting, but through, by having the literal weight of the world on her shoulders and everybody cheered for her, she wins gold.
Yeah, and she was thinking about Kyle when she was performing
Mhm.
because she has him like in her head, being like, "You can do this" and stuff like that, even though he
Yes.
was
She was
physically
winning
there.
it for him because of how much effort he put into her Olympic
Yeah.
experience.
And then she
Oh
ends
yeah.
up back in the hospital because turns out she had even further damage that in one of her routines, hopefully the last one, I guess, one of
I think
the
it was.
Yeah,
fractured
'cause
or
she had so many
cracked
kids.
ribs moved and punctured her lung. And so she had like blood in her lungs and everything. And just basically,
But it didn't collapse the lung, and that's where I'm like, that's not how that works. Okay.
Yeah,
Just
she's like able to get the gold then, and she's like holding it in and then blacks out.
yeah,
right. Well, and she still has a whole interview.
yeah. Like the next day.
Right. It reminded me of what was it in the 96 Olympics, the one who sprained her ankle and
Oh,
then Carrie Strong.
Carrie Strug, yeah.
And then the coach was like, well, sucks to suck. We're doing really well. I need you to do this again. She's like, okay.
Like she fell
So,
on the first one and then sticks it on one foot the next one.
yeah.
Just saying, I would have broke both ankles if I had to do that.
But so anyway, so they go. And then she apparently gets also into UCLA because now she can go anywhere. She's America's sweetheart. She gets all sorts of endorsement deals. And Kyle is like, man, I messed this up. I gotta crawl back into my hermit shell and never talk to any girls ever again.
Nobody at first he wants to go talk to her. Like he
Yeah.
wants to win her back.
And then he watches the interview, finds out she's going to UCLA, and is like, well, she moved on. I'm going to give up now.
I mean, where would these books be without bad communication?
Yes, true. That is very true. Also, he's 18 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
So
yeah, exactly.
and then in what I was really surprised at, the book jumps to 4 years later, the next Olympics.
Which I had no idea that the next Olympics was going to be in the United States. I
Oh, you
thought this
didn't?
was all fake, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." That's
LA
cool.
20,
Yeah.
LA 28.
Yeah, I was talking to TJ, and he's like, "Yeah, the Olympics are in California, except they're doing
Okay, I saw that they're doing some events are in Oklahoma City.
Yes,
I don't remember which ones, but that's a very long ways away from California.
Right?
so this was a surprise for me. So I learned something new from this book.
Well, I was just very surprised that we jumped 4 years, and I really appreciated that we kept with the Olympics theme because I thought for certain we were maybe going to get their freshman year or something like that. And I was really appreciative. I feel like we've been reviewing a lot of books where our characters are young, and
Yeah.
I was very excited, like, yay, they're maturing. This is fabulous. So now they're like 22, which although not like filled with wisdom and knowledge, they are, still basically professional athletes and collegiate athletes, and they've had tons of endorsement deals and stuff. So they are just a lot more, I'd say, grown than your average college kid.
Yes.
And so it's the LA Olympics. They both re-qualify. And for some reason, these second time Olympians are definitely not the flag people, but Catalina is the torch, like part of the torch lighting ceremony, which I thought was really neat. And
And they're
Kyle,
not staying in the Olympic Village because of what happened
yes.
prior.
So convenient, Kyle's manager calls and says, hey, someone, a fan, sketchy, offered up their home to you for free to use instead of staying at the Olympic Village. It's got a pool. And he's like, sold, sign me
Olympic
up.
size pool.
Olympic size pool on the beach. Conveniently happens to be exactly the house that him and Catalina had discussed building one day. Hint, hint.
And so he stays there. He loves it. They go to opening ceremonies. And for some reason, they're both like, man, well, it's the Olympics again. I'm gonna have to publicly address this other person that probably everyone would have forgotten about because it's been 4 total years since
Yeah.
we were sided together or anything. And Catalina gives, I thought, a beautiful statement about, of course, her interview question, the questions she was being asked in her interview related to like, hey, so your prior Olympics went like not great, but also great because you got attacked, but then you won gold. And she said something that I thought was really poignant. Don't know why it took her 4 years to say it, but basically talking about how, there's definitely others on the periphery whenever something tragic happens, and, how everybody deals with that tragedy is going to be totally different. And one of the other people in that, kind of involved in that was Kyle. He was an unintended victim of that, and you should, not discount him this Olympics because he's been doing fab things, great things will keep happening for him or something like that.
He's been doing really well in Worlds and all that stuff.
Yes, and he was back, and Kyle sort of sees it.
Yes. He's shown it. Was
he shown it?
Or maybe he sees it on the news.
I thought he saw it because she was then shown his.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yes. I think so.
No, he was shown it on the interview with Robin somebody.
Oh, yeah.
He
finally agrees to do an interview, which he hadn't done any in 4 years. And they show it to him
at the interview.
After having spotted her at his event the night before. And
in a Stanford sweater that he gave her.
But like also like hat pulled low. Like no one's gonna recognize me, but I've got this Stanford shirt. Yes.
What's also was very interesting is, and I thought this was a little strange, she was only doing the individual. Yes. She wasn't doing the team because her team has basically like not talked to her because of
like her teammate from the first Olympics
who was her best friend.
Yes, she's like potentially leaking stuff to the paparazzi now.
Yes,
because they're jealous she won,
which I found so strange.
But then she kept winning. Like she won Worlds a year before the Olympics.
Like it wasn't a fluke. What I forgot, maybe Lauren, you can let us know for sure. In rhythmic gymnastics, when they talk about the team event, it sounded like they're all out on the mat at the same time, right?
Yes. So that's the one like where they toss the things. I don't know what they're called. Back and forth to each other. So like they will toss the ring, the hoop, like the other stuff back and forth and do these insane things.
Okay.
Yeah, but she's coaching for the teams.
Yes, she's coaching them and then still in the individual.
Yeah.
Well, I could see like if she's just not vibing, if she's part of what makes her great is she's got her own flair or whatever, but it's sticking out on the team. Like I could see taking a step back. That sort of makes sense. So they end up seeing that, knowing for certain, because again, we can't communicate directly to each other. Sort of. Kyle does text her, but instead of communicating directly to each other, they communicate to each other through statements they make with the press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they realize like, oh, he doesn't hate me. Oh, she doesn't hate me. Wow, this is great. And so they connect again.
He makes this Instagram post.
Yes. Again, hard launching on Instagram. Very
when you haven't talked to the other person yet, but I mean, it worked.
Yeah.
Was it 3 photos? Him winning gold because he finally won a gold medal.
Yes.
Her winning, which he titled bronze winnings, and then the next photo was of her winning her gold medal titled silver winnings, and then like the selfie they took in Paris, and he titled that gold winning.
Aw.
Yeah,
It was cute.
And then she finally finds his text
from the day before.
Yeah.
in her old number, but it was still on her phone. Text
Right, that
message.
forwards to her new phone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
And
Kyle asked they both have the same manager for the number, and he's like, if you had it before, you still have it now.
that manager, he must have been more frustrated than we were.
Oh my God.
Yeah, seriously.
So they meet back up again. Kyle comes to her gym like 3 days before they're actually supposed to meet up and just instantly are like, oh, you don't hate me? I don't hate you. We should be super serious again instantly. Do you want to move into this house with me?
A little
Actually,
quick.
I made this house for us. Um, is your dad coming? I got an important question I gotta ask him. Like all of this,
Yeah.
in the span of like 20 minutes. Like, and what were we naming our kids again? It just was so, it was
It was so random. It was so quick. And it was like, whoa.
This was my comment. A little fast, don't you think?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And so they're it again, and they have their publicist Jim release a statement, and they're back. Officially confirming that they are a
Yay.
couple.
That's
And Kyle, he's racing and he's doing phenomenal. And Catalina hasn't had anything yet, but she starts not doing well in practice. I do appreciate that the story was just that the Olympic environment was really triggering for her and not Kyle.
Yeah.
And they made sure to really distinguish that because I felt like it could have definitely gone there. And I appreciated that it was just the Olympic environment. I do wish it would have stated like, this is PTSD and it's because of being around the Olympics.
But
Like
she
a little
just
faster. And
Yeah,
like her therapist was like on a trip and she's like, well, I don't want to
Yeah.
start with somebody else. Like, what, girl?
she just stated it was reminding her of like the series of events that like was this similar to her last one,
Yes.
and she needed to change. So I guess she kind of said it was like it was seen
Was that
too
Kyle
similar.
that made the comment like we need to make a change?
Yeah. Maybe it was him.
I think it was him because
Yes.
he brought up the idea of
In the middle of the Olympics, let's go to Hawaii for a couple days.
fly to Hawaii, 5 hours away for 36 hours.
But it worked. It did
worked.
it.
It did.
And they're in LA, so Hawaii's really close.
Yeah, it's like 5 hours. Yeah.
And he
It's
has
as really close as you can be while getting to Hawaii.
So they go to his family home.
His family home in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And
his plan after being a swimmer is to become a surfer.
And he doesn't want to swim for much longer. He is very certain that like he's done professionally swimming at the age of 22.
After he wins 8 gold medals.
Mhm.
Right.
He won all 8.
Oh,
Making
yeah,
Caleb Dressel feel ancient this Olympics, I suppose.
It was kind of cool that while she's going to was it his like one of his last races, the commentators were like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? You want to come with us?" Because she like couldn't get in.
You just like recently graduated with your, marketing,
bachelor's
sports announcing, whatever degree.
They're like, why don't you just
come
on
into the
with
booth
us?
with us?
Yeah.
Was this the point when we find out that she had been to every single one of his swim meets over the 4 years? Was it somewhere around this
It's
time?
around here in the story because they kind of were like chatting with her a little bit about swimming, and then they're like, well, of course you're biased, and she's like, well, here's all my other thoughts because I've been going to the professional swimming circuit, but the swimming circuit for the past 4 years, so I can speak to here's how this guy in lane 4 is doing, and here's how this guy in lane 7 is doing, and watch out for this one in lane 2. And so they were like, actually, you like, nice, you can come chat with us. And so she does, which was fun. I really enjoyed how just excelling her whole career and everything was in this book. Like it was, good for her. A little It reminded me a lot of, do you guys follow Nastia Lukin?
Oh, yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Like it reminded me a little of her, and that Catalina was described as really tall for gymnastics, and like so was
Mhm.
Nastia, and then went on to do announcing and coaching, and like so did Nastia, and it just like they, were described aesthetically similar, and it just reminded me a lot.
Did you know that Nastia's mom was a rhythmic gymnast?
I feel
Ah,
like I did, and her dad was a gymnast as well, right?
Oh, very good. He was the first male gymnast to ever do a triple back on the floor.
Nice. Nice. I do love the Olympics. Have I mentioned that yet?
Throw out my nerdy trivia for the day.
But so they're getting back from Hawaii. They feel good. Catalina begins her event and it's happening again. And so Kyle's like, I know what to do. I need to make this different. Quick, Izzy, my sister, can you go get some
For
poster
paper,
board and markers and
conveniently found at the Olympic venue.
right, like it's obviously right across the street from a Walgreens.
yes.
And so Izzy
There's
goes and makes
Walgreens
it
in
back
like
in
every
just one
corner in
rotation.
America.
What?
I said there is a Walgreens in every street corner in America.
Obviously.
It's either Walgreens or CVS. So
Yeah. And so
Hold up, pause. He could have used the CVS receipt.
yeah, there you go.
it's a little flag.
Flag bearer.
Throwback. That's so funny. So he holds up the sign that's basically just like the 5 Olympic rings plus a 6th diamond ring with a question mark.
Right
And
before she's like gonna go on the floor.
it was so cute. It was
It
so
was.
cute.
It was very quick.
It's
Personally,
very,
I would not have kept my cool.
but it was exactly what she needed to get her head back to be like, no, that's right. This isn't Paris. This is LA and this is different. And things are actually going to be great. And so she, gets her head enough back. And she's obviously so naturally talented that she can just qualify. And that's all she was trying to do. This was just qualifying. And then
Or was the finals?
I thought this was qualifying. And then they got
Correct.
married right
Yes.
before.
Yes. Okay, never mind. You're right.
And then they get married, and then it's her finals, and she also wins gold, right?
Yes.
And they, I know,
Do
they
you
like
hear that?
announce to the world at closing ceremonies because they're flag bearers again,
Yes. For the
They're-
closing ceremonies.
with their wedding rings, and they're married and just happy. And then we jump another 4 years ahead of time to 2028 in Brisbane. And Kyle makes the Olympics. And I was like, oh, I thought he was supposed to stop swimming. Like, that's crazy. And then turns out he was so good at surfing that he made the Olympics in competitive surfing. Catalina is there, but she's just coaching and commentating. And that's just where their life was. I loved that it wasn't like 4 years from now and they had kids or anything like that. Like, they were still,
Yeah,
They were
still
still doing what they loved.
Well,
yes.
3 years later, they're 26.
Right, like they
But
could have,
married
and
at
it would have been
22.
just fine. But I did appreciate that it was
No.
like more Olympics.
Yeah.
And that's where our story left off. They're just happily ever after and all their Olympics fun. And that's where we were. So what did you guys overall impression of the book?
I really enjoyed it. It was cute and it made me kind of sad that I never went to the Olympics, which was never going to happen. Let's start with that. But I was like, oh, that does sound fun-ish. I think they kind of miss like how rigorous the training program is. Like, oh, they're just out at the Eiffel Tower. I'm like, I don't know if that would really happen when you have like multiple preliminaries the next day. And so
it also sounded a little bit like they just arrived like the day before. And I always thought the teams got in much longer than the day before.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there would have been a little bit more time for that.
There was a little fact checking that needed to be done for this book. I did like it. I read it pretty quickly, but sometimes there was a point I was like, okay, come on, like this isn't real.
Oh, no, it definitely was far-fetched, but enough of it was far-fetched enough that like I was willing to live in this fantasy dream world.
Yeah.
Yeah. The getting married at 22 after not dating seemed
Well,
a
after
little.
like rekindling your 1 week long romance,
Yeah.
like
I would have liked if they went
5
on
days
a
prior.
date.
Yeah, did they ever go on a
I don't know.
well,
No, I don't think they ever went on a date.
would you count like
Eating.
sandwich as a date?
No,
No.
I don't.
Well, no, because they each get food for free at the Olympic Village.
True.
So, yeah, I would have liked for them to go on a couple dates, maybe traveled together.
A whole lot of things together.
Yeah.
That was my one thing with the book was it was a little I
It was very
liked
much
it.
Fantasyland.
It was very Fantasyland. Yes. Disney, Cinderella finding her prince.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this could be a Disney Channel original movie
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
with the
Always
same title and
for sure.
everything.
Hallmark.
Hallmark.
Yes.
Yes.
Hallmark should probably get this ready for the
Why
Olympics.
doesn't Hallmark do Olympic?
Why is it always just Christmas?
Yeah.
Christmas in July. That's all we get.
They
But
should.
they should definitely have done an Olympics one.
I know. Did you hear the latest? Hallmark is doing a Chiefs Hallmark
I did hear
movie.
that.
I feel like I want to sign up for Hallmark just to watch that.
Yes, they're doing a football one.
I did
So-
hear that. I thought it was funny.
So with this theme being Olympics, two questions, but like you have to have separate answers. Favorite Olympic sport to watch, and which one would you compete in, but they cannot be the same? I can go first. So my favorite Olympic sport, I think, to watch would probably be soccer, like or the team sports. I like to watch the team sports. And gymnastics. I do really like gymnastics. And then I would probably compete in a running one, if any of them.
Yeah.
But it would have to be like longer than a mile. I don't think my legs could go that fast in that short of a distance.
No.
You're gonna run a 15-minute 5K and be in LA.
Yeah, exactly.
Start training. Come on.
Yeah.
What do you got, Steph or Amity?
I like to watch all of the sports. Like I am one of those people who just, if it is the Olympics and it is on, I will watch dressage. I will watch the heavy, like the weightlifting. I will watch the preliminary first round qualifications of swimming. Like I like to watch the special stories that make you cry. I forget if it was London or maybe Australia or Greece. It was one of those Olympics, which I realize is a lot of Olympics. But there was a story about a gentleman from, I think, a country in Africa, and he qualified for swimming. He had to qualify in a hotel pool, and his preliminary heat was just 3 people. And the 2 people who he was swimming against were disqualified. They leapt early off the blocks. And this was the Olympics. Maybe this was Sydney. It was the Olympics where all of the big athletes had on like the full body suits that were like
That would have been
illegal.
I think that was
Okay. But they had on like the full, like the long sleeve, long pants suits. And
too fast.
so he had to do his heat by himself. And it was like the 3,200 or something. It was a long swim, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just a 400, but it felt like a really long swim to be doing by yourself with this guy who, learned freestyle pretty recently. And I was sobbing. I mean, I'm a kid at this point. I'm like sobbing. Like Bob Costas is obviously talking about it. And it was like such an inspiring story. Like I still remember it. I love all of the Olympics. Like my favorite thing to watch is opening ceremonies and the Olympians walking out, and I'm like crying with them. Like I love the Olympics. But I'd say probably my favorite sport to watch would be swimming or track and field.
Oh, swimming is a good one too.
Because there's like a lot of things happening. Like it's fast.
Yeah.
And you get results right then.
And which one are you going to compete in?
Fencing.
Ooh,
I like
that's
that.
a good one.
I have a follow-up question for you, Amity. Which opening ceremonies was your favorite?
Oh man, that's a hard one. Oh gosh. I was very impressed with Beijing. The level of like state togetherness. The most recent ones in Japan were really fun and pretty like uplifting with everything, like the 2021 of it all. But I remember like the ones in London and oh, what's that like funny guy? And he was like on the piano.
Mr. Bean.
Yes, like that
I
was so
know.
funny. And the Spice Girls were there too.
I love that
Uh,
one. There was humor.
yeah, but and I remember like I vividly remember the torch lighting from Atlanta. I don't know. I don't think I can pick a
I
favorite.
think that was a great answer though, Amity.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see this one in Paris.
Yeah.
Okay, Lauren, favorite Olympic sport to watch, and which one are you competing in?
Okay. I'm gonna split. I'm not gonna stick to Summer Olympics, and I'm not gonna say gymnastics for any, because that's a given, obviously.
Okay.
I think my favorite to watch would be swimming.
Okay.
If I could compete, I'm gonna go with curling.
Ooh.
It feels
And
realistic. Like I
it
don't know
does,
that I'll
like,
ever feel too old to be like, you know what, if I got into
I
this
mean,
for 3 years, I
God
could do
gods
it.
out there doing curling.
Yeah.
Like in my current state of
Would you be
having been
the one that like does it, or would you be the like shaving down the ice?
I feel like I would be the one with the broom.
How
In
many
my
people are on a curling team? Is it 3?
four?
Four?
Oh, because you need somebody like yelling, right?
Oh, I could do that.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, ooh, someone yelling. I feel like I could do rowing and be the
oh,
cocks.
oh yes.
I could do that.
Okay, rating out of 10. I'm gonna give it.
Are you gonna do a ridiculous rating again?
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay. I'm also gonna do a 7.
Okay. I was feeling 7.5, but I feel like you guys have convinced me for just 7.
No, don't let us sway you.
Yeah, because
Okay,
then our
fine.
average would be what's our average?
Are you doing 7.5 or 7?
I'm gonna do 7.5 then, and so our average is a 7.16.
Oh, perfect.
Repeating.
So next time we're actually going to be reading a Megan Quinn book, as I'm currently reading one of the books. I keep going with. Actually, I've read a lot of Megan Quinn books.
Same.
But we're going to be reading The Reason I Married Him by Megan Quinn, and she has a lot of books on Kindle Unlimited. And for all those Amazon Prime people, this isn't an ad, but you get Kindle Unlimited for 3 months for free.
Really?
If
Nice.
you're a Prime member, so and you don't have it or never had it, so that's a little fun.
Come on over to the dark side of the Kindle universe.
Yes, so if you guys want to get started on some Kindle Unlimited books, read some Megan Quinn books because a lot of her books are there.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us. Thanks for listening to our reviews, rants, and ramblings. Remember, if you also read this book, please review it on Amazon or Goodreads and include that Shmindle Shmumlimited sent you. And if you wouldn't mind a quick review on your podcast platform, we would be forever grateful. Have a great couple weeks, and we can't wait to read, review, rant, and ramble about the next book with you. Bye.